In 2008, on national television, he predicted the biggest bull run in U.S. history. In 2015, he appeared on 60 Minutes again, this time to blow the whistle on one of America's largest home improvement companies. He also famously grew his hedge fund firm by 19,900% over just 20 years. And CNBC calls him the Prophet. For most investors, that would be enough. But Whitney Tilson is stepping forward again. Only this time, he's not waiting to go on TV. Instead, he's revealing the full story to you first. It involves a technology so powerful it could slash your medical bills, cut your grocery spending, drop your transportation costs, lower your travel expenses, reduce what you pay for gas. It's a technology Mark Cuban predicts will create the first trillionaires, as it stands to have a bigger impact on our daily lives than the printing press, the telephone, and even the automobile. And could be the biggest story the Prophet has ever uncovered.
Hi, Whitney Tilson here. The technology I'm about to share with you today is so powerful, it could slash your medical bills, cut your grocery spending, drop your transportation costs, lower your travel expenses, reduce what you pay for gas, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's a situation unlike anything we've seen in human history, and experts agree. Christina Wooten of VP Brand Partnerships said, "As we slowly get more and more used to it, I think people will start to see why it's so important and why it's real." David Shapton, founder of Future Transform, recently said, "It will affect every sector of the economy and our daily lives." Dave Baszucki, a tech multi-billionaire, said, "It's arguably as big a shift as the telephone or the internet." And Tim Sweeney, founder of Potomac Computer Systems, recently said, "If one central company gains control of this, they will become more powerful than any government and be a god on earth." It's a technology you often see in the news referred to as the metaverse, a term coined in the 1992 book Snow Crash. Facebook even changed its name in late 2021, basing its new brand entirely around the term metaverse. But there are other terms for this technology as well. The book Ready Player One refers to it as the Oasis. NVIDIA calls it the Omniverse, and some are predictively calling it the Appleverse. But this tech is far bigger than any book or individual company. As you'll see in a moment, it's already bigger than the current internet. So to avoid any ties to any specific company, I've coined my own term for this world-altering tech. I call it Conexa Terra, which means connected earth in Latin. So that's the name you'll see it referred to throughout this presentation. But no matter what it's called, big tech has a raging obsession with it. Facebook is already spending $10 billion this year alone on this technology. And they're not the only ones shelling out huge amounts of cash. Google, $3.9 billion. Amazon, $871 million. Microsoft, $690 million. Apple, $786 million. Twitter, $629 million. Dell, $1 billion. Epic, $1 billion. Verizon, $10 billion. Tencent, $70 billion. And that's just the short list. Nearly all of the top 50 tech companies in the world are in a relentless race to control the metaverse, or as I call it, Conexa Terra. Why? Because this technology is set to completely disrupt the entire $85 trillion global economy. This includes the $33 trillion real estate industry, the $20 trillion retail industry, the $8 trillion healthcare industry, the $9 trillion banking industry, the $2 trillion entertainment industry, and more. And as this pursuit to control Conexa Terra hits a fever pitch, many people will have the chance to become outrageously wealthy. As Forbes says, from an investing standpoint, we simply cannot ignore this. So while the world's top 50 tech companies battle for the metaverse or Conexa Terra, I've found 5 buy now stocks that I believe are on the verge of controlling everything. In fact, I'm even going to reveal the name and ticker symbol of one of these stocks right here in this presentation. You'll get the full details, no credit card, phone number, or email required. I know you'll want to get in right away because this is a very rare opportunity to get in front of a tech trend that could be bigger than anything we've seen over the past 3 decades. Bigger than buying Qualcomm in the 1990s, Apple in the early 2000s, or Netflix in the 2010s. Any of these stocks could have made you a great deal of money. But the metaverse, which I call Connexitera, stands to be exponentially bigger and grow exponentially faster. In fact, it's set to grow even faster than the internet did. It took the internet 38 years to become worth roughly $32 billion. Yet Connexitera is already worth nearly $48 billion, and it's projected to hit $800 billion within the next 2 years. Put another way, that's a growth rate 893 times faster than the internet. Think about it. The gains I just showed you a minute ago are all tech companies, some of the top performing stocks in history. So you can only imagine how quickly Connexitera stocks could take off as this new tech grows 893 times faster than the internet. Of course, as a 20-plus year Wall Street veteran, I understand that past performance is no indicator of future results. But I also understand that this is the type of situation that could create tremendous amounts of wealth. If you would like to fact-check any of our data, please visit our details and disclosure page at the end of this presentation. And the world's billionaires are already starting to take notice. People like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Mark Zuckerberg. Thing is, the future is now. After all, how often do you see not only the world's top 50 tech firms going all in on a single technology, but also every major branch of the military as well? Yep, that's exactly what's happening. The U.S. Air Force has committed $70 million to this new technology. The Navy is in for $156 million. The Marines are spending $32 million. And the Army is in for an astounding $22 billion. Even the Coast Guard and Space Force are in as well. But it doesn't end there. The 4 largest federal agencies in the U.S. are the Department of Defense, the Postal Service, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and the Department of Homeland Security. And all of them are jumping in with both feet. Along with the Pentagon, the top 4 U.S. government agencies are spending a combined $22 billion on Connexitera. I've never seen anything like this. Neither has self-made billionaire Mark Cuban. As I've mentioned, Connexitera is unlike any tech advancement we've ever seen. It stands to have a bigger impact on our daily lives than the printing press, the telephone, and even the automobile. Once complete, Connexitera could slash your medical bills, cut your grocery spending, drop your transportation costs, lower your travel expenses, and reduce what you pay for gas. But you need to understand that opportunities like this move fast, so if you want to profit from this situation, you must act quickly, before it's on the cover of the Wall Street Journal or talked about all day by the talking heads on CNBC. Unlike other major trends you hear about like electric cars, blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, and even 5G, Connexitera is an early-stage opportunity where massive profits can still be made. But, like I said, you need to act fast. And the 5 stocks I've pinpointed all have the potential to make you 3, 5, or even 10 times your money as the battle for Connexitera intensifies. In a few minutes, I'm even going to share one of my favorite stocks to play this coming megatrend for free right here in this presentation. Ticker symbol, buying instructions, and all. Remember, this technology is set to completely disrupt the entire $85 trillion global economy. And it's already on pace to grow 893 times faster than the internet did. So you can only imagine what might happen to the 5 stocks I'm going to give you the details on in just a moment. Their prices could absolutely erupt, possibly faster than anything you've ever seen before. After all, I'm not talking 15 or 20-year gains here. I'm talking 3x, 5x, even 10x potential as Connexitera drives toward $800 billion over the next 2 years. Of course, once that happens, you'll be hearing about Connexitera everywhere. It'll be all over the news and filling up your social media feeds. Everyone will be talking about it. But if you take action today, you'll have already gotten in well ahead of the curve and potentially have already made as much as 10 times your money. I say this with such confidence because this isn't the first time I've made an urgent prediction before. Back in 2019, I sent out a briefing about something called TaaS, which stands for Transportation as a Service, which relates to the rise of electric and autonomous vehicles. By now, of course, you've probably heard of it, but 2 years ago, I'd estimate that 99% of Americans had no idea that TaaS was even a thing. I did, though. I'd been following the industry very closely, and I predicted correctly that certain stocks were about to soar. Like I'm doing today, I recommended 5 buy now stocks to anyone who was willing to listen. In less than 2 years, those 5 stocks I recommended are up an average of 120%. I can't name them because they're currently in my open model portfolio, and it wouldn't be fair to my readers. But had you gotten in on the TaaS revolution I predicted, you could have averaged 120% gains on the 5 stocks I detailed. I tell you this to show you just how fast these kinds of things can move. Only today's opportunity is much bigger. TaaS is a niche industry. Yet, even though it was a much smaller opportunity, you still could have made multiple triple-digit gains had you listened to my urgent warning. So if you missed out 2 years ago, I'm giving you a second chance to get in on the ground floor of a world-changing technology. Only this time around, the gains could be much bigger. And while past gains don't indicate future success, my track record is filled with accurate calls that most investors and pundits overlooked. In December 2017, I called the exact day that Bitcoin peaked. In September 2018, I called the exact hour that marijuana stocks would start their big collapse. And in February 2019, I predicted the rise of TaaS. And on March 23, 2020, the exact day that the stock market bottomed, I wrote, quote, "This is the absolute best time to be an investor in more than a decade," and added that I was, quote, "trembling with greed." It turned out that I was right again, as stocks have skyrocketed to new all-time highs since then. I also called the exact day the stock market mania around GameStop and other meme stocks peaked in January. If you remember, the stock soared as much as 2,500% after a group of investors on social media banded together to pump the stock. I predicted the stock would quickly crash, and that's exactly what it did, as it dropped by more than 90% in only 2 weeks. To be honest, I don't know of any other financial analysts in the world who can make these claims. In all, I've accurately predicted the decline of 88 different stocks, including 3 bankruptcies over my career. But I don't just accurately predict bad news. As a hedge fund manager, I purchased some of the most valuable stocks in recent history for my clients, long before they were household names, including Netflix, when it was $7.78 a share. Today it's worth 8,100% more. Apple at a split-adjusted 35 cents. It's up more than 45,000% since then. Amazon at $48. It's up more than 7,200% since then. These were all huge success stories, but of course nobody is right 100% of the time. So not all of my stocks are winners. But that hasn't stopped me from outperforming the S&P 500 since the launch of my newsletter 2 years ago. It's why my work has led to some high praise from those who've listened to my recommendations and my warnings. Now don't get me wrong, even though I made a lot of money during my 25-year Wall Street career, where I grew my hedge fund firm from $1 million under management to more than $200 million, it was an absolute grind. I wasn't spending enough time with my family, and the stress of managing money for other people kept getting more and more intense. So I decided to make a huge change. I returned capital and started my own investment advisory company, Empire Financial Research. Today, my team and I serve more than 200,000 readers all over the world, and I couldn't be happier. I get to live life on my own terms now. This year alone, I finished second in the 4-person team division of the 24-hour World's Toughest Mudder, visited my parents in Kenya, climbed Mount Whitney, the tallest peak in the continental U.S., climbed the tallest active volcano in the world in Ecuador, explored Uzbekistan, and kiteboarded in Cape Town, South Africa. I also get to share my expertise with regular, everyday people now. That's why I'm here today with what could be the opportunity of a lifetime in Connexatera. I want people to live out their lives in luxury and retire rich. So now I reserve my best ideas and stock recommendations for people like you. As I mentioned earlier, I found 5 buy now companies that are on the verge of dominating Connexatera. I'll even reveal one of them for free in just a few moments. This is an opportunity to make 3, 5, even 10 times your money over the next few years as the battle to control Connexitera hits a fever pitch. Remember, right now it's growing 893 times faster than the internet. And once complete, it could slash your medical bills, cut your grocery spending, drop your transportation costs, lower your travel expenses, and reduce what you pay for gas. I'll explain how in just a moment. But first, I want to explain why you could be in a position to make a massive amount of money in the very near future. I'm sure you're wondering by now what exactly Connexitera is and why it's so important. That's putting it mildly, though. I think of it as the internet killer. You see, Connexitera isn't just the next iteration of the internet, but a technology that will change the way we do almost everything. Ultimately, I believe it could replace the internet entirely. Of course, that's a ways down the road, but that's how powerful I predict this technology will be. It's something that's been building since the internet was officially created back in 1983. In the 38 years since then, I've noticed 4 critical phases of the internet that have made Connexitera a possibility today. 1, e-commerce, 2, social, 3, mobile, and 4, Internet of Things. And you could have gotten filthy rich off each of these 4 phases. It's hard to believe, but the internet once looked like this. That's the first website ever created. At the time, few people knew this would jumpstart what we now know as the first generation of the internet. Some people, however, saw this as the opportunity of a lifetime. Just 4 years after the first website went live, Jeff Bezos created Amazon.com. At the time, Amazon sold only books, but Bezos had a vision for the company's explosive growth in e-commerce domination. You know the rest of the story, of course. Amazon went on to become one of the most profitable stocks in history. Had you seen what Bezos saw and got in when the company went public, you would have made gains as high as 217,000%. Of course, you would have had to buy the stock and hold it the entire time, but that gain turns every $1,000 into more than $2.1 million. Naturally, gains this high are a complete outlier and are unlikely to be repeated anytime soon. But it shows what can happen when a company goes all in extremely early on in a world-changing technology. eBay was another company that got in during the first phase of the internet, and its stock shot up as much as 9,449%. It wasn't just e-commerce companies, though. Microsoft saw the need for a reliable way to access the internet, and it launched its Explorer browser in 1995. Had you bought Microsoft stock back then, you could have made a killing. Since then, shares have gone up 6,194%. That would turn every $1,000 invested into nearly $63,000. Of course, most people didn't catch these runs. It was so early in the game that few realized what kind of opportunity internet stocks would be. Remember, this was just the first generation of the internet. The second occurred as people all over the world were given the ability to communicate in real time, share photos, and even send each other short videos. Today, it's known as social media. But back then, it was just a way to keep in touch with your friends. And as with the first generation, the companies who got in early made a killing. Facebook came on the scene in 2004 as little more than an experiment, a virtual yearbook for Harvard students to check out pictures of their classmates. Today, Facebook has almost 3 billion users. The company didn't go public until several years later, but even so, the stock gave ordinary investors a chance to get rich. Had you gotten in early on Facebook, even after knowing how popular it was, you could have made as much as 1,838%. Again, this was after Facebook became a household name, and you still could have earned nearly 20 times your money. Twitter was also one of the first companies to master social media. It launched in 2006, but like Facebook, didn't IPO until much later. It didn't matter. Thanks to the popularity of social media, you still could have made 5 times your money. All told, Twitter paid out gains as high as 449%, turning every $10,000 into nearly $55,000. The second generation of the internet also gave rise to companies like Netflix, which introduced streaming to the masses. Since it went public, the stock has gained 56,360%. The third generation of the internet, mobile, was no different. It gave us the ability to access the internet on our phones and opened the door for playing games and watching movies on our phones and iPads. At the time, it was the biggest development in internet history, and stocks soared, including Apple, which introduced the iPhone in 2007. Since then, shares of Apple have surged as much as 4,900%. Capcom, which makes mobile games, shot up nearly 10x. Shares of the stock went on an 843% run starting back in 2013. Even telecoms benefited from this phase of the internet as companies like T-Mobile shot up 1,099%. This generation of the internet expanded to include far more than just e-commerce and social media companies. It included gaming firms, device makers, and phone companies. And the fourth generation expanded that scope even further as it brought the internet to household appliances, security systems, watches, thermostats, and more, the so-called Internet of Things. And again, the stocks of well-positioned companies produced huge gains. Dexcom is a company that produces glucose monitoring systems for diabetes patients. It helps people remain healthy through internet connectivity, something that would have seemed like science fiction back in 1997. And shares took off. Dexcom stock has paid out gains as high as 5,250%. Qualcomm took it to a whole different level. It went all in on the Internet of Things and provided platforms for not just smart devices, but also smart homes and smart cities. And this early adoption paid off. Shares soared by as much as 5,845%. Skyworks, though, is the best of the bunch. The company provides the backbone of the Internet of Things to companies all over the world. And with 75 billion devices expected to come online by 2025, Skyworks shares have absolutely crushed it. Had you bought during the company's early days, you could have earned gains as high as 7,733%. That's more than 70 times your money on a single stock. Keep in mind, though, all of these gains were just from the Internet's first 4 phases. Today's opportunity with Connexitera is far bigger. I hate to refer to it as the next version of the Internet, but that's the easiest way to describe what it is. So if you missed getting in on the ground floor of past Internet gold rushes, this is your chance to get in early on this one. And remember, Connexitera is already worth nearly $48 billion. And it's projected to hit $800 billion within the next 2 years. So it's growing 893 times faster than all iterations of the Internet we've seen so far combined. But you must take action now. The 5 stocks I've found, including the one I'm about to reveal for free, all have the potential to soar 3, 5, even 10 times as Connexitera comes to life. It's a technology that's set to completely disrupt the entire $85 trillion global economy. Earlier versions of the Internet never had that kind of impact. So you can only imagine what kind of profit potential Connexitera stocks have. We're literally in uncharted territory, and people are jumping at the chance to get in on it. There's a good reason for the optimism, too, because Connexitera will literally change the very nature of life on Earth. Recently, for instance, one of today's top musical artists, pop star Ariana Grande, held a concert in Connexitera. It drew 78 million viewers. To put that in perspective, Woodstock drew just 400,000 attendees back in 1969. Grande's show was 195 times bigger. Only at her concert, there were no miles-long lines to use the restroom, no overpriced concessions, no expensive seats 50 rows from the stage or sitting in the mud. In fact, everyone at Grande's concert had front row seats, and they didn't even have to leave their living rooms. This is just one example of how enormous Connexitera has already become. Today's immensely popular video games are another. 140 million people play Minecraft. 202 million people use Roblox. 350 million play Fortnite. Remember, all of this didn't even exist a few years ago, and already at least 690 million people use it on a regular basis. That's more people than live in the 10 most populated cities in the world combined. It took the early versions of the Internet 20 years to reach that many users. It's not just concerts and video games either. You can use Connexitera for just about anything you want. Say you've been meaning to meet up with family you haven't seen in a long time. No problem. With Connexitera, you could be at a virtual backyard barbecue with your loved ones, or camping, or even ice fishing on the frozen lakes of Alaska. And you can do all of this without paying expensive airfare waiting in lines at airports, renting a car, or staying in a hotel. You don't even have to plan anything. You could just wake up in the morning, and as easily as you'd make a phone call, you'll be able to visit anyone you like at any time. Family, old high school friends, coworkers, even strangers from across the globe if you're looking to make new friends. It's extraordinary. It's unlike anything we've ever seen in human history. The impact this world will have on every aspect of our lives is immense. Like I say, you can do just about anything you want. Need to grab some groceries? No problem. In just seconds, you could have every imaginable product at your fingertips. No parking in crowded lots, no waiting in lines at understaffed stores, no browsing multiple websites for the best deal. You can find everything in one location without having to get off your couch. Plus, after you check out, everything you just ordered will be on its way, courtesy of a fast, efficient delivery service. Then, if you want, you can pop over to the bank and pay your mortgage, open a new account, or even take out a loan. You won't have to drive there and wait for a teller. A personal aide will be on site, ready and waiting to help you. Or maybe you've been thinking about buying a new house or a vacation home out of state. Guess what? You can use Connexitera for that too. Instantly, you'll be able to call up dozens of properties in 20 different cities that fit your exact needs. And you'll be able to take tours of all of them from the comfort of your own home. You won't have to take a single trip or deal with any pushy real estate agents. The possibilities here are incredible, and the list goes on and on. It's also why I predict this tech will slash your medical bills, cut your grocery spending, drop your transportation costs, lower your travel expenses, and reduce what you pay for gas. See, Connexitera will give you the ability to visit your doctor virtually on a regular basis. So you'll be able to get efficient, preventative medical care and avoid costly and potentially life-threatening disasters down the line. You'll be able to find the best deals on groceries and household goods without having to clip a single coupon or wait for sales. The same goes for vacations. You'll be able to visit just about anywhere on the planet without having to book hotel rooms or rent cars. And it'll be possible to do this without leaving your couch, so your transportation and gas costs could end up being next to nothing. So when investment banker Andrew Kegwell said, "The possibilities are endless," he was 100% correct. Now maybe you can understand why Connexitera is big tech's new red-hot obsession. The applications in this world are so vast and far-reaching that Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg is going all in on it. He's spending $10 billion and hiring 10,000 people this year, all dedicated to bringing Connexitera to its full potential. Recently, he told his employees, "Our overarching goal is to help bring it to life." Other top tech firms are going all in as well. Microsoft is quickly working to roll out Mesh, a new product centered on Connexitera. Google took its first step toward this new tech in developing a platform called Meet. Apple has also developed a Connexitera-friendly platform. Amazon is already dominating 90% of one of Connexitera's most popular industries. Visa just spent $150,000 on research, so it's better positioned to help clients navigate this emerging ecosystem. NVIDIA has already spent hundreds of millions of dollars developing its own tech for Connexitera. MasterCard pioneered a new way for cardholders to make payments using this tech. PayPal, with 392 million users, just spent $2.7 billion to further entrench itself in the race to dominate this technology. Netflix recently hired an ex-Facebook gaming exec as part of its push to keep up with other top tech firms. Even Comcast, the cable dinosaur, developed a new technology that lets users change TV channels with their eyes. Those are the 10 largest tech companies in the US, and every one of them is working at a feverish pace to create, connect, and deploy new technologies to take control of Connexitera. But here's the thing, it's not just tech companies getting in on this as fast as they can. Tony Robbins, the self-help guru, plans to use Connexitera to reach the masses through fully immersive experiences. Gambling group Entain has also jumped on board. It just announced a $100 million investment in Connexitera that will let users place bets from the comfort of their own homes. Prada has created a tool that will let users try on clothes using an app. So if you've ever wondered what you look like in a $4,000 outfit, this is your chance. Burberry, another luxury fashion designer, is also entrenching itself in this game-changing technology. And Reed Smith, an international law firm, has also taken notice, calling it the biggest ever industrial revolution the world has ever seen. The list of companies and individuals jumping into Connexitera with both feet goes on and on. In fact, as former Amazon strategist Matthew Ball says, it's the newest macro goal for many of the world's tech giants. For big tech, it's become an obsession. For you, it could be the investment opportunity of a lifetime. I found 5 buy now stocks that I believe have the best chance of handing you 3, 5, even 10x your money. And I'm going to reveal one of them right now. Remember, at the beginning of this presentation, I told you I'd give you the name and ticker symbol of a fantastic Connexitera company you should buy right away. That company is Meta, formerly known as Facebook, which is leading the charge on this new technology. I already mentioned it, but Meta has already hired 10,000 people dedicated to Connexitera. It's also spending $10 billion per year to make sure it happens. Mark Zuckerberg has gone all in. In fact, the company even changed its name recently to reflect this new emphasis. This past June, Zuckerberg told his employees about an ambitious new initiative. The future of the company would go far beyond its current social apps and would strive to build an interconnected set of experiences. A few years ago, this would have sounded like something straight out of science fiction. Our overarching goal across all of these initiatives, he said, is to help bring Connexitera to life. What makes this such a great investment is that you can buy Meta today, which is an incredible cash cow of a business, before this new technology becomes fully realized, and essentially pay nothing for it. In other words, you'll own everything Meta owns, Instagram, WhatsApp, and of course Facebook, and you'll also get in on Connexitera before most investors are even really focused on it. So you're buying an already enormously profitable business that's now in position to dominate the world's newest world-changing technology. Of course, as with any investment, buying Meta carries risk, so you should never invest money you can't afford to lose. But I think it's a great stock to hold for the long term, so that's the first investment you should make if you want to get in early on this fast-moving tech. The stock symbol is FB, and I recommend you do not pay more than $375 per share. But here's the thing. Meta is a huge company, so big gains here are likely to take at least a few years to play out. The good news, however, is that there are several other ways to potentially make a lot more money more quickly. And that brings me to investment number 2. As I showed you earlier, Connexitera is going to make all kinds of things possible, including attending live events without leaving your home. Remember, 78 million people attended Ariana Grande's concert in August, and she'll end up making tens of millions of dollars. So it should come as no surprise that she's not the only one taking advantage of Connexitera to attract massive amounts of fans. Popular artists like Travis Scott, Lil Nas X, and The Weeknd have all hosted online concerts. And each of these events has drawn many millions of people. Now, one of the most influential companies in music history is taking advantage. I'm talking about a company with a catalog of subsidiaries in 42 different countries and 15 different recording labels. It's worked with everyone from the Beatles and the Bee Gees to Michael Jackson and Ray Charles. It earns almost $6 billion per year and employs more than 8,000 people. Yet, right now, few people have taken notice of the massive move this company just made. They just created an entire band that will be tied directly to Connexitera, only this band won't include any musical artists you've ever heard of. Instead, it's a first-of-a-kind ensemble with 4 members created specifically to perform using Connexitera's world-changing tech. Why are they doing this? Because the market for online events is exploding. Already it's worth $94 billion. And as more and more mainstream companies start jumping in, that figure could soar. This is an amazing boom, and it's quietly taking place for now. And my team and I have found the one company that we believe is positioned to completely dominate this market once Connexitera is fully realized. They've already made a huge move into this space, and I have no doubt they'll be making even bigger splashes in the months and years to come. Even better, for now, you can get in at just $25 per share. It's the perfect way to invest in the booming online music industry and get in on Connexitera at the same time. So the benefits here are twofold. In my new report called 5 Ways to Earn 10x on the World's Biggest Tech Shift, I'll give you all the details, including the name of this investment, the ticker symbol, and my instructions on how to get in at the best possible price. But I can't give out all the specifics of this investment opportunity here in this presentation. I'll tell you where to get the details in just a second. And that brings me to investment number 3. This is your chance to get in on yet another massive trend that's been playing out for some time. Artificial intelligence plays a huge role in many of today's technologies. In fact, you likely use it every day without even realizing it, and it will form the backbone of Connexitera. So the best way to take advantage of this boom in artificial intelligence is to buy a company that's in position to provide the countless chips and graphics interfaces that will be needed in the coming years. The good news is I found a company that's in the perfect position as Connexitera continues to grow exponentially. It's a firm that's prepared to usher in a new world that will demand more computing power as well as more chips. The company also recently released a set of software tools that will allow companies to collaborate in building Connexitera, the computing power for which will, naturally, come from this company. The company's CEO believes about half its Connexitera revenue will come from chips and half from software. Remember, the best thing you can do as an investor is to position yourself in front of a massive, inevitable trend. And while nothing is a guarantee and there are always risks with any investment, that's exactly what I believe we are doing right here. This approach is how I made a fortune with the best picks of my career. It's how I recommended Netflix at $7.78 a share. Today it's worth 8,600% more. It's how I made a killing with Amazon, buying it at $48 a share. It's up more than 7,500% since then. It's how I made a small fortune with JetBlue Airways, Berkshire Hathaway, and more. In my new report called 5 Ways to Earn 10x on the World's Biggest Tech Shift, I'll explain everything you need to know. Again, I can't just give away this research right here in this video. Here's why. For nearly 20 years, I worked as a hedge fund manager in Manhattan. My clients were some of the wealthiest people in the world. A handful were billionaires who had access to the best Wall Street hedge funds. But rather than continuing on this course, I decided to do something radically different. I've launched a project that can benefit people from all walks of life: teachers, doctors, lawyers, small business owners, retirees, you name it. That's why I started Empire Financial Research. Since we started just a few years ago, I've recruited some of the best investors in the world, and to my knowledge, we've been one of the fastest growing independent research firms in America during this time. And the best part is, we're just getting started. You can still join us today before we become the most dominant research firm in the country. We will introduce you to opportunities you won't hear about anywhere else. We're an independent publisher of financial research, which means we don't own or trade the stocks we recommend, and we don't accept advertising. The only way we can stay in business is by giving you great ideas and advice so you have the chance to achieve profitable investing results. To me, this just feels like a much better model than charging exorbitant fees to a handful of already wealthy people. And part of the reason I made this switch is because today I want to share my best ideas with everyday folks from all walks of life. This has always been important to me. I didn't come from money, and I'm still one of the most frugal people you'll ever meet. For example, I'm sure I was the only guy from my Harvard Business School class to stay in a youth hostel during our 25th reunion a couple of years ago. I also put my Wall Street career on hold to help co-found Teach for America, have served on the boards of more than a dozen nonprofits, taught introductory economics, finance, and investing to high school and college students, and won the John C. Whitehead Social Enterprise Award from the Harvard Business School Club of New York. The point is, as part of Empire Financial Research, you can access my best ideas at a fraction of what wealthy, sophisticated investors used to have to pay me as a hedge fund manager. You don't have to pay the 2% of assets and 20% of profits fees that hedge funds typically charge. You don't have to pay the $5,000 I used to charge for a single investing seminar. Today, access to my best money-making ideas comes at a pittance. It's the best bargain on or off Wall Street. Before I tell you how to get started, let me tell you about investment number 4. More people now own cryptocurrencies than gold, and it's driven the crypto market through the roof. The entire cryptocurrency market is now worth more than $3 trillion, And in a world that's growing increasingly digital, the number of people using cryptocurrencies to pay for things has also grown. Globally, 220 million people own or use cryptos. And I believe cryptocurrencies will be the primary form of currency as it pertains to Connexitera. The US dollar will still be used, of course, but cryptos are becoming more and more mainstream. And there's one in particular that I believe will soar. Right now, there are several new cryptos coming out that are tied specifically to Connexitera, and they are all based on the coin that I suggest you should buy immediately. You don't have to use it to pay for things if you don't want to. You don't have to know the intricacies of how it works. But as more and more people adopt its usage, you could make an absolute killing. Some are even projecting that this coin could be the new Bitcoin and hit values as high as $50,000 per coin by 2030. Right now, it's much cheaper than Bitcoin, and if you get in now, you could stock up and collect a massive payday, even if the projections are only half right. As with the other investment opportunities I've shown you, you'll find the full details on this one in 5 ways to earn 10x on the world's biggest tech shift. I'll show you how to get your copy in just a moment, but first I wanted to show you investment number 5. Research shows that there are currently 2.7 billion gamers in the world. So it should come as no surprise that the video game industry is worth a massive $178 billion. And gaming will be a huge part of Connexitera. Remember, several games already exist in the Connexitera universe. 140 million people play Minecraft. 202 million use Roblox. 350 million play Fortnite. And these figures are only likely to grow, as is the gaming sector as a whole. Within the next couple of years, we could be looking at a $240 billion industry. One company is in position to dominate this industry, and it's not the makers of Minecraft, Roblox, or Fortnite. Instead, it's a company you probably haven't heard of. They've been around since the 1980s and have produced some of the most popular video game titles in the world. And I believe they're going to be one of the major players as Connexitera hits full stride. Already, they publish a wildly popular online game that has more than a dozen iterations, and the beta version of their newest version has already been played by 7.7 million people. What's great is, this is a well-established, already profitable company, which happens to be in the exact right place at the exact right time. So I fully expect the share price to soar much higher. Even if they don't dominate Connexitera, the company has been making video games since the 1980s, and they continue to put out hit game after hit game. So no matter what happens, you stand to win either way. The full details are in my newest special report called 5 Ways to Earn 10x on the World's Biggest Tech Shift. Here's how to get a copy in your hands immediately in the next few minutes. Okay, so I've told you about my brand new report detailing the 5 best ways to multiply your wealth through Connexitera. But I'd also like to give you 2 bonus reports as well. Remember earlier when I told you about my transportation as a service prediction back in 2019? And how the 5 stocks I picked are up an average of 120% since then? Well, one of those stocks still has a huge amount of room to grow. So in addition to my 5 buy now stocks to play the Connexitera boom, I'd also like to send you my number 1 way to play the ongoing TAS explosion. The report is simply called the number 1 way to profit on the electric vehicle boom. This situation is playing out right before our very eyes. Tesla stock is up as high as 1,300% since the start of 2020, and Elon Musk passed Jeff Bezos as the world's richest man because investors were pouring money into his electric car company. It's an easy call to make, and you'll want to get in on my number 1 stock in this sector right away. All the instructions are in your first bonus report, the number 1 way to profit on the electric vehicle boom. But that's not the only bonus I'd like to send you today. Driverless vehicles are becoming a reality today because of a dramatic confluence of many technologies. Computing power, cameras, sensors, laser rangefinders called LiDAR, GPS, and artificial intelligence software, just to name a few. But I believe there are 2 companies responsible for, by far, the most critical components for the best self-driving cars. The first company makes the most technologically advanced brain and nervous system for autonomous vehicles. This firm has already partnered with many of the leading companies in this space, including BMW, Hyundai, Audi, Intel, and Lyft, among others. This technology helped complete the longest automated drive ever from San Francisco to New York City and was selected by one national government to be the technology behind the country's autonomous taxis set to hit the road in 2022. This stock is a strong buy in my opinion today, and I recommend you take a stake. But as I've said repeatedly, there are no guarantees, and don't risk investing any money you aren't willing to lose. But I strongly believe you could do very well with this investment over the next few years. The other key technology you want to own in the driverless technology space is the company that provides the computing power for many of today's driverless vehicles. This is critical for every autonomous vehicle. Already, this company has partnered with many of the world's leading vehicle manufacturers like Toyota, Volkswagen, Mercedes, and Volvo, plus trucking companies like Peterbilt and Kenworth, auto parts makers like Bosch and Continental, tech firms like Sony and Panasonic, and research institutions like Berkeley, Carnegie Mellon, MIT, and Stanford. Again, you should want to own this company immediately because you could make many times your money in the next few years. By simply owning these two companies, I think you have the potential to make a lot of money as autonomous vehicles are rolled out all over the world. Everything you need to know about these two stocks, including ticker symbols and trading instructions, is in your second bonus report, the 2 critical driverless technologies you must own today. So that's 2 bonus reports in addition to my newest hot-off-the-presses report about Connexitera. That's 3 reports in total, which I want to send you right away. Number 1, 5 ways to earn 10x on the world's biggest tech shift. 2, the number 1 way to profit on the electric vehicle boom. And 3, the 2 critical driverless technologies you must own today. These reports are the first things I want to send you when you start a no-risk trial subscription to my comprehensive investment research advisory called the Empire Stock Investor. On the first Wednesday of every month, I'll send you my latest report and newest money-making recommendations. My team and I will also recommend exactly how to allocate a portfolio across our recommendations to maximize your potential gains, as I did when I was managing my hedge fund for nearly 2 decades. Of course, you'll have to make these investments yourself. You'll have to decide how much to put in any investment you make, but you will never find yourself wondering what you should do with new stocks I recommend. Plus, every day the markets are open, I'll send you my daily email addressing the most important issues affecting you and your money. You may have read other investing emails before, but I think you'll discover that you've never had access to anything like my daily report. At least 5 billionaires currently subscribe. One of them is Joel Greenblatt, who manages $9 billion at Gotham Capital, who recently said, "I met Whitney in my class in Columbia Business School. We've become good friends. He's an excellent investor and, most importantly, a great teacher. I'm going to enjoy being a subscriber to his new research service." Another person on my email list is John Petrie, who manages about $1 billion. He said, "Whitney is one of the most connected investors I've met. He's been able to tap into an infinitely deep and unique network of people to come up with great insights into ideas and develop them that other people just can't do because they don't have the kind of network he does." I truly believe my daily email is the best place to find and exchange investing ideas in the world today. There's simply nothing else like it. And when you start a subscription to my Empire Stock Investor, I'll immediately add you to my Whitney Tilson's daily email, as well as the Empire Financial Daily written by my colleagues Berna Barchet and Herb Greenberg. To sum up, by taking advantage of this offer today, you will receive 1, a research report, the 5 ways to earn 10x on the world's biggest tech shift. 2, a bonus report, the number 1 way to profit on the electric vehicle boom. 3, a bonus report on the 2 critical driverless technologies you must own today. 4, the next 12 months of Empire Stock Investor. I'll send you a new report on a new investment idea and any changes to our model portfolio on the first Wednesday of every month, 12 issues in all. 5, my Whitney Tilson's Daily, as well as the Empire Financial Daily emails. Each day the markets are open. Soon, you'll be part of a small collection of like-minded folks, which includes some of the wealthiest investors in America. And 6, you get full access to all of my archived research reports and recommendations. So, how much does it all cost? Well, that might be the best part. Frankly, I believe I could easily sell the package I've put together today for thousands of dollars to wealthy investors. But I'm on a different kind of mission today. I know there are a lot of people out there, normal people like my mom and dad, who met and married in the Peace Corps in 1962 and are now retired teachers, who don't know what to do with their money right now. Should they trim the stocks they hold? Buy more? And if so, what should they buy? Well, the first thing I recommend are the investments I'm going to send you in the reports I've described. Remember, this is your chance to get in on Connexitera as it grows even more rapidly than the internet did. It took the internet 38 years to reach a value of roughly $32 billion. Connexitera is already worth nearly $48 billion, and it's projected to hit $800 billion within the next 2 years. That's a growth rate 893 times faster than the early internet. Once complete, it could slash your medical bills, cut your grocery spending, drop your transportation costs, lower your travel expenses, and reduce what you pay for gas. And this is just the beginning of what could be the biggest shift in technology in history. But even if it's just the next version of the internet, as some people call it, there's still a potential boatload of money to be made. Remember, some of the biggest gains in recent memory came as the internet evolved. So either way, this could be the most lucrative investment opportunity you'll have the chance to get in on. But as I've said, you must act quickly. Soon, I expect that you'll be hearing about Connexitera everywhere. From the news, social media, even your friends and coworkers, everyone will be talking about it. But if you take action today, you'll have already gotten in well ahead of the curve and potentially already made 10 times your money. Today, you can get full access to my in-depth research on this opportunity, plus my monthly newsletter, Empire Stock Investor, where I offer investment ideas and update you on any adjustments I make to my model portfolio, and our 2 daily letters, where my colleagues and I share investment ideas from our giant network of contacts in the investing community, for as little as just $49. The regular retail rate for my work is $199 per year, and some of my readers pay as much as $5,000 annually for our other research. But you can take advantage of today's offer and save 75% immediately. I promise you, this is by far the best deal in the investment world today. For about the price of a nice dinner for 2, you can get access to my colleagues and my best investing ideas, which were previously available only to our former hedge fund clients. Even better, this trial subscription is 100% risk-free. After reviewing everything I'll send you, if you decide for any reason that my research isn't right for you in the next 30 days, no problem. Simply give our member services team a call, and they'll promptly refund 100% of your money. In other words, you get to try my research first before deciding whether or not it's right for you. Now, of course, all investments carry risk, and past performance does not guarantee future success. Do not invest more than you are willing to lose. In 2020 alone, the average annualized return my newsletter achieved was 54.8%. This return measures the results achieved by all of our recommendations in 2020 scaled to a 1-year period. You may have subscribed to an investment newsletter before, but I believe I'm going to be sharing ideas with you that are unlike anything you'll find anywhere else. To get started and immediately gain access to everything I've described here, simply click the Order Now button below. This will take you to a secure order form where you can review everything here before submitting your order. You'll have access to all of my reports, research, and my fully allocated model portfolio in a matter of minutes. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll give Empire Stock Investor a no-risk trial look to see if it's right for you. I look forward to having you on board. Thank you.